गणेश वंदना की इस अद्भुत प्रदर्शन ने आज के दिन को एक नई ऊर्जा के साथ भर दिया है। We are celebrating the 5th GST Day as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and nothing can be better than a wooden, handcrafted portrait of our beloved father of nation as a memento. और इसीलिए बापू का ध्यान करते हुए मैं श्री विवेक जौहरी, अध्यक्ष CBIC से आग्रह करना चाहूंगा कि वह माननीय वित्त मंत्री को यह स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें। मैं श्री विवेक जौहरी से निवेदन करता हूं कि वह माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें। मैं श्री विवेक जौहरी से पुनः आग्रह करता हूं कि वह राजस्व सचिव को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें।
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Member CBIC, Shri DP Nagendra Kumar, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Honorable Finance Minister and Corporate Affairs Shri Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State for Finance Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Revenue Secretary Shri Tarun Bajaj, Chairman CBIC Shri Vivek Jowhary, my colleagues, members from the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, Chairman and members of the CBDT, retired senior officers of CBIC, distinguished invitees from the trade and industry, representatives from the professional bodies and associations, departmental officers and colleagues, other distinguished invitees, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I wish you all a very happy GST Day. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all to the GST Day celebrations being held at Vigyan Bhavan today. 5 years ago, on this day, GST was unveiled in the Central Hall of the Parliament by the Honorable President and Honorable Prime Minister of India, ushering in a new era in our economic reforms. This transformational tax reform, the largest one carried out in independent India, has, by and large, has achieved its objective, particularly in making one nation, one tax a reality today in a very short span of time. It has led to emergence of a common market. It has also removed the trade barriers within the country, enabling free flow of goods and services in the course of interstate trade and commerce. In a sense, GST is not only a tax reform, but a business reform as well. The indirect tax system in the pre-GST era suffered multiple shortcomings in terms of fragmented tax base between the center and the state, multiplicity of taxes levied at several government levels, complex tax structure leading to tax cascading as well as the compliance burden, and also in terms of adding cost to the ultimate consumers. The earlier system of origin-based taxation system, in a way, has been inequitable in ensuring the tax revenues reaches to the destination states where the consumption base existed. In a way, the deficiencies outlined above were the very challenges which posed in implementing the GST in a vast country like ours. Innovative solutions were to be found to overcome these challenges. starting from amending the Constitution to enable the central and the state governments to simultaneously levy and collect the taxes on goods and services, creating and institutionalizing the GST Council that ensured uniform and harmonious implementation of the GST across the length and breadth of the country. That also played a very important role in recommending the uniform laws, uniform rates, threshold, exemptions, process, procedures, etc. Setting up of a common IT platform in the form of GSTN to provide a single unified portal for interacting key business processes, not only by the taxpayers, but tax administrations, other stakeholders, and also the banks, were some of the innovative initiatives that led to implementation of this mammoth tax reform in this country in a smooth and expeditious manner. The proactive manner in which the GST Council had functioned in the last 5 years, spreading over 47 meetings, taking decisions over 1,300 issues, fixing rates, providing the rules, and also simplifying the compliance, requiring the dynamic decision-making to the emerging situations, particularly the challenges what the country has faced during the COVID, are a testimony to the dynamic and ever-evolving the GST architecture in our country. GST is a fully automated administered tax system in which all the stakeholders perform their processes through the GSTN common portal. The key business processes like obtaining registration, filing returns, payment of taxes, seeking refunds have all been automated on an end-to-end basis. The data-driven approach has also added to the gains in terms of the tax efficiency and also the improving compliance ever noticed in the country. The GST implementation has achieved a fair degree of stability in terms of settling down of rates, adoption of IT-driven compliance process, and buoyancy in tax revenues. 2.5-fold expansion in the tax base, the growth in revenue year after year what we have been witnessing, and the consensus-based decision-making in the GST Council, which reflects the true spirit in which the cooperative fiscal federalism is playing out in our country. Going forward, implementation of GST is still an unfinished agenda insofar as some of the key areas as listed below. Continuing efforts on rate rationalization, pruning of exemptions, simplifying the process and procedures, and also evolving a strategy for the tax administrations, both at the center and the state, to identify and address the tax risks and mitigate at the earliest point of time to improve the tax collections and also tax efficiency is still yet to be met. The recent examples of the proactive approach in addressing the fake invoice menace to plug revenue leakages is a pointer to the trend that the data-driven approach is what the way forward the tax administration will look forward. In the coming years, I think the tax administrations have to dedicate themselves to a risk-based scrutiny mechanism for the tax returns, the tax audits, to seek an assurance that in a fully self-assessment environment, I think these are the basic asks the tax administration will have to do to achieve the desired revenue collections, protecting the honest taxpayers and prevent revenue leakages. Madam, we are grateful to you for sparing your valuable time to be with us on this joyous occasion of celebrating the 5th GST Day, close to half a decade of implementation, where we look backward and see with a sense of pride and happiness, and also commit ourselves to the future in implementing this tax in a smooth and friendly manner to make GST truly a good and simple tax. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. 5 years ago, the country embarked upon the journey of simplification of taxes with the goal not only of economic integration, but also of facilitation of trade. Today, we have amongst us trade bodies from all over India as partners in progress who wish to share their experience with GST for the past 5 years in the form of presentation on its 5 edifices. We have our first team from Mumbai presenting impact of GST on interstate trade. The team consists of Shri Sunil Chodia, Chairman, Western Region CII, Shri Lalit Gandhi, President Maharashtra CCIA, Dr. Vijay Kalantri, President AIAI, Shri Hitesh Doshi, Chairman and Managing Director, Wari Group, Shri Sumit Sapru, Business Head, Shapurji Palonji, Real Estate, Ms. Sulaja Firodia Motwani, CEO, Kinetic Energy and Power Solutions. The team is pivoted by Shri Ashok Kumar Mehta, Principal Chief Commissioner, CGST, Mumbai Zone. The presentation will be made by Ms. Sulaja Firodia Motwani, who found her calling in electric vehicle and green energy while moving from conventional to unconventional.
Honorable Finance Minister, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State Finance, Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Revenue Secretary Tarun Bajaj ji, Chairman CBIC, Mr. Vivek Johari ji, Member CBIC, DP Nagendra Kumar ji, esteemed representatives of the trade, senior officials from the department, friends from media, and ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. First of all, congratulations to everyone on achieving this wonderful milestone of 5 years of GST. This certainly calls for a celebration because as envisioned by our leaders, Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Finance Minister, GST has truly turned out to be a path-breaking and revolutionary taxation system which has definitely improved the way that we do business and ease of doing business, and has gone a long way in becoming the good and simple tax that it would like to be. Today I would like to present one of its facets, how it has impacted our lives and our trade, which is looking at the interstate trade and the impact that GST has had on the interstate trade. I speak from personal experience, ma'am, because as a manufacturer of electric vehicles and automobiles in general, we are working in multiple states. We sell our products through hundreds of dealers. We buy components from hundreds of suppliers across the country with multiple locations for our plants and warehouses. And I can tell you with my experience and confidence that GST has been a revolution towards a much improved interstate trade. Before GST, I can say that the interstate trade was nothing short of a nightmare. We had to deal with multiple taxes. There was CST, there was VAT, entry tax, octroi, and many other complex cascading taxes that made interstate trade very expensive and very cumbersome. Logistics was slow, vehicles would be stopped, movement was slow, and overall I think we can say that it led to a lot of waste of time, energy, and resources, and a lot of compliance. If I look at our international partners, they could not even fathom the complexity of the entire interstate trade in India. Pricing decisions were complicated and implementation even more difficult. After the arrival of GST, I think all of this has been simplified to a very great extent, and I think we can say that it has really boosted the interstate trade. Some of the important benefits that we as the industry have felt of the GST on interstate trade. First is that the free and smooth flow of goods across the borders of the states. Because there is one simple taxation, decisions are simple, implementation even more simple. There is no congestion of trucks on borders. There's a lot of saving because time is saved, taxes are reduced, and overall planning has become easier. Compliance also has become simpler and easier and cheaper, I would say. The digital compliance and single uniform taxation system has certainly improved the ability to focus on business and not only on paperwork and compliance. The e-way bill system, I would like to say, in fact, has also been a great improvement on being able to facilitate interstate trade in a very convenient way. The bill to ship to facility is very useful for manufacturers like us to be able to move our goods and provide components to our suppliers and to our dealers. Overall, I think there is a reduction in the price of goods. There's no cascading effects of taxes. The uniform taxation has made it easy to compete across the states. There is no movement of goods, looking at price arbitrage and such opportunities. And finally, the seamless input tax credit in the entire supply chain has made our Indian products more competitive to our customers, and thereby making the lives of our masses that much more convenient and comfortable. If I look at the larger picture, beyond just looking at the trade within the country, I can also say that internationally, having introduced a system like GST, which is globally understood, it makes investors and collaborators more comfortable in coming to India for business. They feel that the ease of doing business has certainly improved, and they can understand how to enter and do business in our country. This will certainly attract more and more FDI as we move ahead. The improved interstate trade will definitely lead to improved infrastructure and nation building, which will further facilitate the growth of interstate trade. So I think it has a long-term impact on continuous improvement in our business. And I think last but not the least, the integration of the digital platform for Gati Shakti will also improve multimodal connectivity, and overall, the use of online GST platform will have seamless movement of cargo across different modes of transport. So I think all in all, we can certainly say that the interstate trade has been greatly boosted by the introduction of GST. It has simplified interstate trade, it has made it more convenient and more cheaper and easier for everyone to understand and follow. And I think the results are there for all of us to see. Because of higher revenue growth, certainly the GST growth also has been very marvelous. And I think the proof of the pudding is in eating it, and the results really speak for themselves. First, I would like to thank for this wonderful initiative and its contribution to improving trade in our nation. And by way of a few suggestions and requests, I would like to make a couple of points to further make GST a boon for our business. For the inverted duty structure industries, like export or like electric vehicles also, if faster processing of IGST refund is introduced, it will help in reducing the blockage of funds that we all face. Similarly, if we can also include capital goods and services, tax paid on capital goods and services in refund, it will also further unlock the funds that are blocked. And in the inverted duty structure industries, many of the industries also have trans-fund credit from the earlier regime. If that can be offered for refund, I think it will improve in, again, improving the working capital of the companies which are facing inverted duty structure. Similarly, for export, faster IGST refund will also give a further fillip to exports. We also strongly feel that given that GST has improved the adoption across the entire nation, I think time has come probably to also look at a stronger IT infrastructure boost, which will further facilitate faster processing of GST returns and use of the portals. And last but not the least, SMEs are the backbone of our nation. And I think if there can be further steps towards simplification of returns for the SMEs and e-way bills for the SMEs, it will help in faster adoption of GST across many more SMEs in the country. With that, I would like to once again thank you for your leadership and thank all of you for introduction of this wonderful taxation reform in our nation. I think it has certainly allowed for the young entrepreneurs in our country to dream bigger and do more. So thank you for that and congratulations.
I thank the Mumbai team for the presentation. The second team is from Chennai, presenting Impact of GST on MSME sectors. The team consists of Mr. Srinivas Garimela, Chairman, Industrial Development Committee, FTA, CCI, Hyderabad, Mr. Mahesh Jaisingh, Co-Convener, CII, Karnataka, Mr. K. Karimariyappan, Managing Director, Steel Cluster, Services Salim Private Limited, Shri Rangaswamy, Vice President, Codicea, Shri Dhiresh Bansal, CFO, Misho. The team is pivoted by Mr. Mandalika Srinivas, Principal Chief Commissioner, CGST, Chennai Zone. Presentation will be made by Mr. Srinivas Garimela. He was the Managing Director of Vega Conveyors and Automation Private Limited when it was voted as the most promising enterprise by Microsoft.
Honorable Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Minister of Finance, State of Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, respected Revenue Secretary, Shri Tarun Bajaj ji, Chairman CBIC, Shri Vivek Johri ji, board members of CBIC, senior officials of CBIC, trade representatives, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a warm welcome to you all. Let me start off my presentation on the impact of GST on MSME sector with the inspirational words of our beloved Prime Minister and also from the MSME and Finance Ministries, where the focus is now MSMEs, who are now called the harbingers of change in the Indian economy. I will speak some from my personal experience, some from the presentation. I started off as a micro industry 19 years ago. It took me 10 years to become a small, and last 5 years become medium. I'm aspiring to become a large industry in the next 4 years. This is purely because of GST has catapulted the growth rate faster, and I've been getting double-digit compounded annual growth rate last 4 years, more so because I'm into intralogistics automation. The slide 2 reveals statistics here. Udyam portal, which also incidentally shares its anniversary today, now has 1 crore of registrations, while the GST registrations are a total of 1.36 crores as on March 31st, of which a healthy 43% is from MSME sector, significantly up from 17% 4 years ago. Hence, the impact of GST on micro and small of the MSMEs becomes crucial and is visible now. The next 3 slides, we are going to talk about the beneficial impact that GST has created on MSMEs, particularly on micro and small now. We have categorized them into 3 buckets. The first bucket is one nation, one tax, which is one of the mantras of GST, and that has created a trio of distinct impacts in sales, profitability, and importantly, timelines. The foremost is making the interstate boundaries seamless and making India as one market with uniform GST rates and ITC availability. Once an aspiration for many micro industries to be able to sell across the country is now a reality because of GST. The second of the trio is the overall reduction cost due to input tax credit.
Nirmala, am I getting your name right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but you know, I feel like for every one of his observation, clapping hands,
Thank you, ma'am.
but I don't want to do it because it's so going to be self-congratulatory, because it's Minister and her team and the boards and everybody here. But on GST Day, assessees are here telling us that it's made a big difference for their business. And other than those who are from the boards, I'm sure there are others. Wouldn't you want to clap? He said so many wonderful things. Not just because I've said it now, because he said something because of automation, his business has improved so much. And the earlier lady who did a spectacular pointed presentation, Ms. Motwani, also said how her business has really now made it possible for not only for herself, but also for the component suppliers, interstate movements. Oh, come on, how many times would you hear government's own steps, which is taken both by the center and the state governments, receiving applause from tax assessees? They are paying tax and also having brilliant words to say. Please.
Salutations to you, ma'am. Thank you so much. The second of the trio is overall reduction in cost. Earlier, MSMEs were competing to reduce the price, and now it's not the price, it's the cost that they're trying to reduce, which is either increasing the sales volume or profitability. The take is theirs. The third one is the reduced logistical overheads due to easing out of interstate procedures, and this has brought in clear visibility to timely deliveries. Earlier, India was not known for timely deliveries. This has brought in visibility in terms of defining a particular timeline. So my claps to that as well. I quickly go down to the next slide, which is the beneficial impact of GST on MSMEs for making it online business processes very simple. This has enhanced the quality of doing business. Ease of doing business was a given, having done all this, but now the quality of business has improved. Faceless registration process with defined timelines, online tax payments, and transfer facility across accounting heads with an online filing of returns with staggered due dates have all created time for micro and small enterprise owners to focus more on the business than on registrations, tax payments, and filing returns. Similarly, provisional refund of 90% within 7 days of acknowledgement to exporters has brought in predictability to cash flows, which wasn't the case earlier. I will now shift to slide 5. The third category, which is reduction in compliance burden, enhancing ease of doing business. Simple ARQP facility exclusively for tiny taxpayers, QRMP facilities for micro industries, and self-certification annual return have all added to reduction in compliance burden. It's become more of a responsibility than a burden now. I'll move on to next slide. This is the benefits that GST would bring in for micro and small enterprises. We have many micro and small enterprises hesitating to get into GST bracket, but we are evangelizing through our trade associations for micros and small industries to get into the bracket because the enormous benefits that they can derive out of it. Now, more important thing is the e-commerce. It's mandated that they become GST registered for doing online business. So I expect more and more micro and tiny enterprises to get into GST net. Ma'am, we have had discussions last 5 days with the help of our Principal Chief Commissioner. We had discussions with a lot of trade associations, a lot of industries, micro and tiny. We went there, our team went there. And there are a couple of issues that they would like the government to address. So I'll put that forward now. The beneficial composition scheme has facilitated MSMEs. However, the present threshold limit of 1.5 crores for goods and 50 lakhs for services restricts scope for scheme availment. We request the threshold limit to be enhanced to 5 crores. That means you're covering all micros, if not the small and medium. So that will give a definite advantage to that. Secondly, we also request the government to consider to enhance the threshold limit for services to 40 lakhs, both for intra and interstate supplies. The third one, most micro and small entrepreneurs are hard-pressed for resources and require clarity on changes in law, procedures, due dates, etc. We suggest that a separate MSME committee may be formed with central and state GST authorities with representatives of MSME in each commissionerate. And those representatives can further evangelize within their fraternity and associations. That will bring about definite change and more confidence in the entrepreneurs. On to the last but one slide. Next suggestion we are making is the QRMP is a boon to micro industry. However, request that this be changed to QRQP, at least again for the whole micro industry group. We are talking about turnover of 5 crores, which will benefit 90% of the MSMEs. And the last but not the least is GST is liable to be paid with reference to date of supply, irrespective of receipt of payment from the buyers. With delayed payment received, MSMEs are unable to bear 18% interest liability on delayed payment of tax. Hence, we request the government to reduce the rate of interest payable by the composition and QRMP TPs, that means I'm talking about really tiny ones, to 9%, at least for the first 3 months to provide them substantial relief. A big thank you to the CBIC team for giving us an opportunity to present our case. And we are pretty confident as micro and small and medium industries would be able to generate enough escape velocity to get into next orbit, because that's the desire and intent of micros to become small, small to medium, medium to large. On that note, thank you once again. Thank you all.
A big thanks to Chennai team for elucidating the impact of GST on MSMEs. The third team we have is from Kolkata, presenting impact of GST on exports. The team consists of Mr. Sushil Patwari, Director, Nagrika Exports Limited, Mr. Mahesh Chandra KL, Partner, Mortex India, Ms. Sonam Kasera, Senior Executive, Kamrup Tea Company, Mr. Praveen Agarwal, Director, Quality Bag Exporters Private Limited, Mr. Yogesh Gupta, Director, Mega Moda Private Limited, Mr. Vinod Kumar Podar, Director, KP Commodities Private Limited, Mr. Jitendra Lohia, Director, Raven Metals Private Limited, Mr. Ranjit Kumar Saha, Director, IP Traders Private Limited, Mr. Biswajit Mitra, Senior Manager, Tata Steel Limited, Mr. Rajesh Gupta, Director, Metropoli Fashions Private Limited, Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, Partner, Danish Export Corporation. The team is pivoted by Ms. Rama Matthew, Principal Chief Commissioner, CGST Kolkata Zone. Presentation will be made by Ms. Sonam Kasera. She is CEO of Kamrup Tea and a board member of PO, which is one of the leading association of exports in India.
Good morning, Honorable Madam, Honorable Sir, and other dignitaries present on and off the dais. I am honored to be given an opportunity to present my views on the impact of GST on exports. Let us understand this by seeing the scenario in pre-GST era versus post-GST era. In the pre-GST era, there were various incidental taxes in course of exports which were not refunded, as only central excise, service tax, and VAT were refunded. Multiple tax structures for the same product across different states created a state of confusion for us to ascertain costs. Further, various laws, physical interface, manual processes made it tedious, errors in filing of returns, and delayed our refunds. Furthermore, even the cumbersome central laws made it difficult and time-consuming to transport goods from one state to another. Like in our case, ma'am, if earlier when we wanted to bring teas from Guwahati to Kolkata, it used to take 10 to 12 days, which now just takes 3 to 4 days. So overall, in earlier, all these factors, it enhanced the cost of Indian goods, making it less competitive in international market. Now, if we go to with the introduction of GST, Now, the introduction of GST played a significant role in enhancing ease of doing business. It brought the one community, one return. The entire process has been automated, right from filing of returns to getting our refunds. Once our shipping bill is validated, the IGST refunds are directly credited into our bank account. Hence, we do not need to have any physical interface with the department. Further, even for merchanting exporters, they have been granted the facility of paying tax at a nominal rate of 0.10%. Even supplies made to EOU and SEZ are treated as deemed exports. All these help to ease and free our working capital. Madam, another milestone what GST brought is that there is a similar treatment between goods and services, brought export of services at par with exports of goods. So all these reduce the cost and ease compliances, which encourage people like me to export. The fact that more businesses are actively engaged in exports can be seen from the fact that the number of IECs and the number of GSTins engaged in exports have been steadily rising since 2017. Also, these measures have made Indian exports much more competitive in the international market, which led to increase in our merchandise exports from $303 billion US dollars to $422 billion US dollar in just 5 years. Also, there has been a real-time growth in value of exports, which can be seen in this data, wherein not just the number of shipping bills filed with customs has increased, but also the value of goods being exported out of India has seen a steady growth since the implementation of GST in 2017. Before concluding, as an exporter, I would like to suggest some measures to further strengthen the spirit of GST. A, if petroleum and electricity could be brought under GST. Secondly, online registration of one common AD code across all EDI port. And also the changes in same should be facilitated electronically without any manual or physical interface with the officers. Like, ma'am, today I am a tea exporter. If I want to export teas from Kolkata or Mundra or Cochin Port, my AD code registered at Kolkata port should suffice. I should not be required to go through the process of re-registration of the AD code at different EDI ports. This will not only help us to facilitate our exports, this will reduce our turnaround time. Thirdly, ma'am, if we could have the facility of granting IGST refund for foreign travelers, it will boost tourism, it will boost handicrafts, it will boost gem and jewelry. Like, ma'am, when we travel to Singapore or Europe, we get the VAT refund. Fourthly, from the compliance perspective, if the EDPMS of RBI could be integrated with GSTIN and IceGate, it will further ease compliances for we exporters. We exporters would not be required to submit same document to multiple departments. Like, ma'am, today we are required to submit EBRC to, say, customs, then GST. So this would ease off. And even from the department perspective, it will make monitoring more easier as the entire departments will be integrated in one system. Lastly, before I conclude, I would like to conclude by saying that the biggest benefit GST has brought to me, being a businesswoman, I can now devote more time into growing my business rather than focusing on compliances. I would like to thank all the stakeholders present here and outside for their role in successful implementation of GST. Once again, thank you, madam, for giving an MSME exporter like me an opportunity to be here and share my thoughts. Jai Hind.
I thank the Kolkata team for such an illustrious presentation. Fourth team is representing Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. They are presenting on simplification of GST procedure. The team consists of Shri D.D. Goyal, Member, National Tax Committee, CII, Shri Uday Pimprikar, Chairman, CII, National Committee Taxation, Ms. Smriti Kona Datta, Member, CII, National Committee Taxation, Shri Ajmer Singh Bisla, Senior Advisor, Indirect Tax, CII, Shri Nilesh Mundra, State Secretary, Chhattisgarh Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Shri Kanti Patel, State Youth Secretary, Chhattisgarh Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Shri B.K. Gupta, Executive Committee Member, URLA Industries Association, Raipur, Shri Vivek Arora, Executive Committee Member, URLA Industries Association, Raipur. This team is pivoted by Shri Navneet Goyal, Chief Commissioner, Bhopal Zone. Presentation will be made by Shri D.D. Goyal. He has a wide experience of dealing with a large unit, that is Maruti, as its General Manager, Indirect Taxation, and also small and medium units all over India, and therefore is the correct person to throw light on how the procedures have evolved over time.
Greetings, Honorable Finance Minister, other dignitaries on the dais, senior officers from CBIC. I'm grateful for giving me this occasion, and greetings again on the 5th anniversary of GST Day. I am member of CII National Tax Committee and GST Task Force. I would like to convey extreme gratefulness and thanks to the present government and GST Council under leadership of Honorable Finance Minister of bringing this miracle of GST which we never thought of. It has made life of business very simple. One biggest point I would say, uniform tax all over India. It has made vehicle pricing, if I say from my industry, all large. A very simple marketing, people's life has become simple. Otherwise, pricing of all major goods in NCR, neighboring states, was a nightmare. Similar way, tax cost across the state, across the method of sale or purchase is same. There is no extra cost in any method. Hence, all business decisions can be taken based purely on the merit without looking at tax cost. Another very major refund method is seamless input credit across any method. Otherwise, there was a big work of getting input credit refund from state governments. And last major simplification, lot of saving of no need of any C form, D form. Otherwise, the large teams and lot of paperwork was involved with that. Once again, gratefulness to the government for bringing this miracle. Now let me take you through some of the simplification relating to process. The process consists from registration and ends in case of some litigation. In the registration, again, the digital way of registration has helped the trade at all levels, being small or being large organizations. Similar way, this Aadhaar-based verification also is very helpful. We are conscious of the fact of some, I would say, registration by the fake entities, and we fully support the government on what are the countermeasures government plan to do to avoid this menace of fake registrations. The next is invoice, ITC, and the payment of tax. After registration, all SSEs, when they dispatch the goods, invoicing has to be done. Again, e-invoicing is a good way of a digital movement, and also it will help in the paperless working. The input tax credit, again, is seamless, an excellent way so that net tax get paid. I have one or two suggestions on input tax credit. Today, because of Section 17(5), some essential business expenditures are in the negative list or input credit is not allowed. For example, construction of factory by manufacturer outside the GST input credit, or specific vehicles built by the vehicle manufacturer for R&D purpose are excluded. We are hopeful in the review of 17(5), these points would be suitably examined. The returns, again, we are again thankful for a very simple composition sort of returns and online digital returns. Maybe for a very small SSEs, if the government can think of a further simple form like Saral and income tax to help small SSEs. The next procedural simplification on the refunds. Again, this digital mode of refund filing has helped the industry like anything. Now, refund on the export of goods has become very fast and smooth. There is no need of moving around anywhere. Automatically in your bank account refund comes. However, we are conscious there are some issues relating to inverted duty structure, refund, and there is some complexities there. If those issues can be addressed, plus small amounts, let us say up to 5 lakh, if auto refund can be given and scrutiny can be done later, it would also help the industry and save a lot of administrative work. The last point is audit and assessments. We are very happy the government is using a very scientific method of data analytics, and on that basis, the scrutiny and audits are taking place. There can be one or two more area of suggestions, like income tax. If some discrepancy is there, if it can be informed electronically through web portal, and SSA is given some time to rectify that. Same way, because of the GST, now large organizations have to take registration in each state, maybe small offices, and today audit has to be done for each state. If a facility of centralized audit to large organizations can be given, where consolidated financials and all other documents can be presented, it would also be a very helpful in ease of doing business. Same way for small companies, if some exemption from audit can be given. The last point is the litigation management. In the tax administration, it is natural to have some disputes, and if those disputes can be settled quickly and in a fair way, it would also help the industry. Once again, thanks to Honorable Finance Minister, under her leadership, GST Council, we believe, had taken a decision to establish GST tribunals, and we are looking forward for establishment of that. Thank you. Once again, thanks to all.
Thank you, MPN Chhattisgarh team, for showing us how simple the procedures have become under GST. Fifth team is from Delhi, presenting on digitalization and formalization under GST. The team consists of Shri Azizur Rahman, partner, PwC, Global Tax Transformation; Shri Archit Gupta, CEO, Clear Tax; Shri Ramesh Lakshminarayan, CIO and Group IT Head, HDFC Bank; Shri Pramod Jain, Head of Taxation Flipkart. The team is pivoted by Shri Manish Sinha, CEO GSTN. The presentation would be made by Shri Pramod Jain, who has wide experience in taxation and has been working with Big Four firms. Working with various tax committees of industry chambers, Shri Jain has contributed immensely in policy planning and ease of doing business.
Honorable dignitaries on the dais and friends, I'm going to speak about impact of GST, digitization and formalization. Digitization of GST compliances is a living testimony of Digital India, a vision laid down by our Prime Minister several years ago. It has been the backbone of successful rollout and implementation of GST in a country as big and as complex as India. Digital platform created by India for GST compliances provides us a single platform for all registrations across central government and 36 states across India and union territories. Pre-GST, we had to go to 40 different states and central government offices to obtain each of the registrations. Now there is a single platform where I can obtain all those 40 registrations. The same platform gives us the flexibility and the enablement to raise e-way bills and e-invoicing. Same platform enables me to make payments to more than 40 different authorities across India without even leaving my office for a minute. This platform, same single one platform, gives us the enablement to file tax returns for which we had to engage different advisors in different states. All those 40 tax returns can be filed at just a click of a button, just in sitting in my office. Now, this is a simple example of what GST has done for industry, trade, and commerce. It has significantly reduced our cost of compliances, has significantly made us more efficient in managing our time. And if I can talk about what GST digitization has done, it has created a huge impact on formalization of the economy. The informal economy, which used to be 52% before GST, has shrunk to 18%. And it is just 5 years. And ma'am, on a lighter note, if I could say, I acquired my professional degree in taxation during excise and sales tax regime, grew up with service tax and VAT. I was hoping that I'll grow older with the same regime. I feel I'm growing younger with GST. The second big thing I'll talk about is e-invoicing and e-way bills. If I have to say, e-invoicing, which was enabled in October 2020 for taxpayers with turnover of more than 500 crores, and preceded by e-way bills in April 2018, these two initiatives have been the real game changers for GST compliances. And if I have to speak for industry as a seller and as a buyer, as a seller, I can raise my invoices through the digital platform for GST, and my sales is auto-populated in GSTR1. I do not have to pull out data from different systems. And as a purchaser, the input tax credit automatically flows into my electronic credit ledger without me tracking physical invoices or any other documents. So it could not have been a better system. And this limit has been reduced from 500 crore to 20 crores over the last 18 months. The benefits, and I would strongly place before your good self to consider reducing the limit even further from 20 crore to 10 crores and 5 crores in a phased manner. Third one, on the GST ecosystem. It has given a huge spur to the digital economic activity. Now, GST has reduced the speed, has increased the speed of movement of goods from one state to another by 3 times, and having a significant impact on reducing the logistics cost for the industry. Now, in pre-GST regime, as a large e-commerce company, we had to locate our warehouses based on arbitrage between the VAT rates and the CST rates. Now, tax considerations are no longer the considerations for location of my warehouses. It's purely and purely supply chain efficiency. The ecosystem created by GST, look at how many business opportunities have come for GST Suvidha providers, application service providers, e-invoicing partners, companies supporting digital payment through QR codes, digital record retention, and host of lot of other economic activities have come just because of digitization of GST compliances in India. And if I'm not exaggerating, we're probably one of the biggest and best GST compliance systems anywhere in the world. Now, on the e-payment side, 98% of indirect tax payments in the country are happening through e-payment platform, digital platform, and just 2% payments get made across the counter. Now, it could not have been a bigger success than 98% government money comes through e-payments. On the way forward, just 3 asks, but big asks. One is, as a large company, as a large industry, we would like to know the compliance status of my suppliers, whether they are filing tax returns, are they paying taxes in time, they are filing tax returns in time, and there was a provision in GST law to provide a star rating to every taxpayer so that the purchaser could know whether he is compliant or not. We would like that star rating system to be enabled. For some reasons, it has not been done in the past, but we would like to support the government in curbing the frauds and tax evasion even further. If that star rating could be enabled, ma'am, that could be a great initiative for us. Second one, if we could be allowed paperless invoicing for B2C transactions, and it is just not a digital initiative, it's an initiative to save our Mother Earth also, the number of trees that we'll be able to save by just enabling paperless invoices. And the third one, again linked to the vision laid down by our Honorable Prime Minister, India is aspiring to become a $5 trillion economy. GST digital platform has to get more robust to support that $5 trillion economy. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure interacting with you and for this opportunity.
दिल्ली की टीम को हम उनकी इस उल्लेखनीय प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए धन्यवाद देते हैं। जीएसटी को लागू हुए आज 5 वर्ष हो गए हैं और जीएसटी द्वारा किए गए राष्ट्रीय एकीकरण और बाधा रहित व्यापार के इस 5 वर्ष के सफर को संजोते हुए करदाता सेवाएं निदेशालय ने एक कर एक बाजार एट 5 फिल्म का निर्माण किया है। चलिए अब हम जीएसटी के इस सफर को देखते हैं।
जीएसटी सिर्फ एक टैक्स रिफॉर्म नहीं है, लेकिन वो आर्थिक रिफॉर्म का भी एक अहम कदम है। जीएसटी आर्थिक रिफॉर्म से भी आगे एक सामाजिक रिफॉर्म का भी एक नया तबका जो एक ईमानदारी के उत्सव की दिशा में ले जाने वाला ये बन रहा है। कानून की भाषा में जीएसटी गुड्स एंड सर्विस टैक्स के रूप में जाना जाता है, लेकिन जीएसटी से जो लाभ मिलने वाले हैं, और इसलिए मैं ये कहूंगा कि कानून भले कहता हो कि गुड्स एंड सर्विस टैक्स, लेकिन हकीकत में ये गुड एंड सिंपल टैक्स है।
GST, a landmark step towards economic reforms as our Honorable Prime Minister puts it.